Well, good evening, everyone. Just want to welcome you here tonight. So if you didn't come to the first one, so what I tried to do this year was, in the past we kind of had board meetings and they were kind of hit and miss throughout years, and I wanted to put kind of something on the schedule so residents would know, each quarter we're going to have just a meeting. And most of the board meetings were very much presentation oriented, and I wanted to create something that would create some more dialogue. So the agenda night's very light. I'll talk about a few things that are going around town, but a lot of this is just to kind of get feedback or answer questions of anything that you guys may have. I've got some councilmen here that I'll introduce. I've got a couple department heads and a lieutenant here tonight, and they'll speak a little bit. And if you got any questions, so the plan is to have you come on in, Sam.
I'm not shy.
So the plan is to kind of have each of these meetings. I'll be at all of them, but I'll have some different councilmen at each. They all may show, some may show, and then I'll try to make sure that all the department heads come through at least during one of the meetings, so that the residents can get a little bit answer any questions they may have about a certain department. But right now going around town, right now our road construction projects are pretty calm. That's really not going to be much going on right now. We've got the golf course, which is broken ground. I think Mark's got some pictures that we can show. That's our pile of dirt right there. But so right now what's going on at the golf course is you've got they've done some of the detention area and some of the stormwater management at the particular course. And what we're working on is trying to get a good section of the upper parking lot, and there's going to be a new entrance coming off of Glenwood across from Bell Drive going up into there. So we're trying to get that, at least the first layer of pavement down, so we can accommodate the golfers for this season. These are curbs that are being put in. So if you drive by there now and you're able to look over in there and see this is the new entrance coming straight across. So once this is in and paved within the next probably week and a half, we'll be shutting down the other entrance and they'll start digging up for the actual clubhouse. So they've got to tear up that existing pavement and start digging the foundation. But see, this is the parking lot and the old clubhouse there. So this is where all the parking will be for this current season. So it's going to be a mess. I apologize, but bear with us at the end. It should all be nice. But any questions about that particular project? Yes.
Is the clubhouse coming down, the one that's there right now?
Yes. Yeah. You and I could probably take it down in an afternoon, so it's barely hanging on. Yes.
Mayor, how's this clubhouse being funded?
It's going to be a basically long-term debt. We're going to bond it. Currently, right now, we've got short-term bands, so the interest rate on the short-term bands is how we're funding it, and then each year we'll be able to evaluate those rates and then eventually convert it into long-term debt.
Couldn't you have some major companies sponsor this, like whoever, big major company here? Foundation, West, whatever.
I think there's certain things that we can always, I'm not opposed to public-private partnerships, and I think there's things that we can do in the city. I don't know about this entire project, but there may be things at the golf course, things at our fitness center. We currently have some renovations we need to do. I've approached, it's a public entity, but it's more of a public-private partnership to see if they want to sponsor some things. I know the school's getting into that. They've got new scoreboards, different things that are happening. So I think there's opportunities to have those kind of partnerships, and it may be something we look at.
Okay, then I was thinking about if you had a big corporate sponsor, gave you millions of dollars in the near future, if they needed a tax abatement, give them maybe a little bit more tax abatement rate with a lot more people being hired.
Well, I wish we could find a company to give us millions of dollars to do something. It's challenging, I think, these days. There's definitely something that I think we're open to, and if it works right, one thing we don't want to do is give up control of our city assets.
I understand that too.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else? All right. So what I'll do is I'm going to have I've got a couple department heads here. They're going to come up and talk. So we've got Brian Steele here. I don't know if Brian wants to talk or say anything. If the councilmen want to jump in, just please do. We've got John McFerrin, Maureen Stauffer, Sam is in the back. Wave, Sam.
Just everybody pray for dry weather.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest key of how quickly we get stuff done at the golf course.
So we definitely need, this week is not a good week for what's happening there. you know. But we ended up having to put a little, to stabilize some of the land that was there, so actually the rain doesn't hurt that. It actually helps that process, but yeah.
I know I'm speaking up. I'd like to ask Sam Scafai, what other streets you want to do in Glenwood Acres?
Right now, we're doing Crestwood, and we just, last week, our last council meeting, we passed legislation for Oakwood. And then, the only other ones that we have left to do, we have to do Dorridge. That street was paved, however, the water lines are not replaced. So that's gonna be one of the future roads. And then we've got a little bit of, water line to replace on Broadway, between, Idlewood and the railroad tracks.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, so then we'll have completed the whole, subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mark, did you catch that okay, or?
Yeah.
Bullet? Okay. All right. All right, well, why don't we have Chief come on up? We got Lieutenant Mason here with him. I don't know if he wants to show up or just.
He does.
Lieutenant Mason loves public speaking, so.
He does want to join me up
As much
here.
as we possibly can.
Good evening. It's so great to see everyone turn out tonight for the meeting. Believe it or not, I just passed my 20th anniversary with the Twinsburg Police Department, 11th anniversary as Chief of Police, and I can't believe how fast time certainly has gone. Lieutenant Tom Mason, my patrol commander, he's 22 and a half, almost 23 years with the city of Twinsburg, and we were all hired back in the mid-90s, and now we're kind of where Brian was a few years ago. We're getting towards the end, trying to figure out what we're going to do and where we're going to move on to. So one of the big focuses that we've had the past couple of years is bringing new blood into the Twinsburg Police Department. We have hired 5 within the last 9 months. Young officers, eager officers. They're very eager to serve the community. They are officers that we believe fit us very, very well and will have a basic understanding of what is expected of a Twinsburg police officer, and will continue to grow into that, so that we've got the same great police service that you've had for a number of years that will continue on. So right now, one is out on his own. 2 of them are out on their own, correct? Two. One is finishing up field training with a field training officer. He's 2 more weeks. And 2 are in the police academy at Kent State University. You probably won't see them in uniform out on the road until probably about August, when they'll start their field training. So that's the big thing on the horizon is as we start coming to the close of our careers, getting that next group in, taking the group that's been here about 5 or 10 years and starting to develop some leadership within the police department. It's something that public safety doesn't do very well, and we've committed ourselves to developing those we see would have a bright future as leaders in our department, and investing in them so that they can take the reins seamlessly when the time comes when it's our turn to retire and sail off into the blue yonder or wherever it is we end up. So any questions? Anybody have any questions at all?
Yeah, if I may, how many cruisers do we have and how many officers do we have?
Okay, officer-wise, we have 35 full-time, and that includes the 2 that are in the police academy right now and the 1 that's in field training. So it's going to be a few months before we actually have 35 full-time officers working in the city. We have currently 12 marked police cruisers.
Then one other thing I noticed, I know lately I seen the other day you had three cruisers over here on 91 and what's in Richmond. They arrested somebody. Can't we put 2 people in a cruiser?
Yeah, two people and 2 officers in a cruiser. It doesn't do as well for our coverage as 1 officer per cruiser. I mean, the reality is we're only 13.2 square miles, and if something happens, if I needed help immediately, my nearest backup can be anywhere from 30 seconds away to no more than 2 or 3 minutes away. So we are able to put more cars out on the road in different areas by having single officer cars. And you know, that's the plan that's worked for us all these years and continues to do so.
So you figured, I'm sorry, you're filling out that it's more safer to have the single cars out to patrol the whole city
We certainly get more coverage that way, yes.
at
Yeah.
one time.
So, yes, we get more coverage that way.
All right, thank you,
We
Chief.
typically try to keep 6 on a shift.
There's 6 officers, we run 12-hour shifts for the patrol division, so there is a sergeant and 5 patrol officers normally assigned to each of those 4 shifts, 2 on nights, 2 on days. And the shift minimum is 4. So we average about 5 officers on at a time. You know, you always have training and vacation and, you know, other time off for, you know, for our officers, but we have that level of coverage that works well. We believe works very well for us.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. You want to talk a little bit about your speed signs?
Sure.
Go ahead.
All right, some of you might have seen the speed signs we started implementing last fall. And we've had them in a few areas where we seem to get the most amount of traffic. We get a lot of complaints in particular areas, and they're the residential areas primarily. You may have seen them in Ethan's over on Bell Meadow, a couple of the other side streets. We picked up 2 of these signs last year. The intention is to pick up more. There's a little bit of a learning curve with it, and a lot of you may have seen an officer who may sit in, or you may have even called and offered up your driveway for an officer to sit in if you're concerned about the traffic and the speeds in your street. And we do that as much as we can. But the bottom line is the city's busy. You know, we're all residents here, but our population, can triple during the day with the amount of business we have and people passing through. So we're a very busy department, and we try and dedicate as much time as we can to these complaints and these special attentions, as we call them. However, we can't be there all the time. The nice thing about the signs are they can. The signs are self-sufficient. It's a rechargeable battery. It can last, depending on the amount of traffic, it can last anywhere from 3-4 days to a week and a half sometimes. And the cameras are equipped, the signs are actually equipped with a camera. We can set the parameters so after a certain amount of speed, you know, a certain threshold is reached, they can snap a picture of a car. Now, these can't be used for enforcement. It's not like Cleveland or some of the other cities where they have speed cameras or traffic cameras. These are not used for enforcement. In fact, the pictures aren't even clear enough to get a plate. They're not designed to be. What it's designed to do is every day at 5 o'clock, if this thing is clicking off a picture of a red SUV or red pickup truck that's exceeding 45 in a residential area, that lets our guys know, hey, at about this time, this vehicle, we get a general description, a basic time that this vehicle's coming through. That's the intent of the cameras that are on there. It also helps in case anybody goes to tamper with or remove the speed sign. The signs are locked on a post. They can't be removed. I mean, if someone really wanted to, they could. They would damage the sign, damage the post. But if they do, the camera's just gonna start clicking pictures and then uploads the pictures to a cloud. It's a cloud-based service, so it would upload the pictures and that would help us. They're equipped basically with a GPS, so once we deploy it, we have to set where we're deploying the sign. We get that assigned area and it goes in an index of areas that are stored. So when I deploy that sign to that area, I just click that that's where it's at. It knows the direction it's facing, it knows the speed limit for that road, and then it starts reading vehicles day and night, 24/7 for as long as it's out there. What that does, it establishes patterns. Chief's really good with technology. Our department is, as you know, the world's going that way. So we can now establish, how many different things can it pull up?
It's just a number of different things. Averages, we can count cars. So, you know, there are times where you might think cars are just flying by at 40 or 50 miles an hour. And we can go back and pull the data up from the cloud and look that the highest speed might have been a 40, but the average speed was around 26 or 27. So it's just another very effective tool for us to be able to pinpoint where we can go to enforce, where we need to be as a priority.
Yeah, it'll give us the volume of traffic broken down by the hour. The high speed, it breaks it down into groups, how many vehicles exceeded the speed limit by this percentage, how many vehicles were in compliance. It's just an awesome, awesome tool, and we're still learning it. The wintertime, we had it out as much as we could. In the roundabout, we had it deployed there for quite some time. It seemed to help. Now we're just getting back into getting them out into the residential areas. So you may see those signs around town. it's just a great tool. It's an awesome tool. We hope to add to it. And what I was getting at was we can't have an officer in all these areas doing enforcement. We try, and our guys do a really good job of it. Sometimes they get pulled away, they get called, they get assigned to something else. So the signs being out there really help. It really helped.
Yes.
That's about it for those.
And if you do have what you believe is a traffic issue, if you have a traffic issue on your street, do not hesitate to call us. Call the communication center at the 330-425-1234 number. And what we do is we'll put your complaint into our special attention file, and officers know that, listen, this is an active special attention. You need to go and run some radar or have some presence on that street. And it's something it rotates through, so they check them every morning at roll call, and it's just a good opportunity. You know better than we do. Well, I can tell you on my street, I live on Bell Meadow, so I can tell you my street, cars get going a little quick there because it's a cut through. But you know your streets better than I do as far as you might see patterns and speed, and we'll be able to come out if you let us know. We'll be able to come out, either put an officer out there or put the sign up and start verifying some of that data. So that's how we're trying to deal with these problems. Yes, sir.
I've often wondered how many people, pedestrians, attempt to cross at the roundabout. And I'm wondering, do you have the capability of seeing how often pedestrian lights have been used?
We don't. I don't know if engineering would have something like that. I really don't know.
Yeah, currently we're working through getting those lights operable. So, yeah, they're not operable yet. So, yeah, we're working real fast to getting those up and running. Because I mean that roundabout officially opened in December, so we haven't had much pedestrian traffic between December and now. We're starting to see it, so that's why. But those are going to be designed to. I don't know if they're going to be able to collect data about how many times they're pushed in terms of the buttons to actually stop. So what happens when they push a button, it'll start blinking, and then they'll become solid red. So to stop traffic, to allow people to cross safely over there. You know, those same type of signals, little different configuration, would be also designed for the Meadowood 91 roundabout also. But anyway, we haven't. I don't know if that's going to be able to collect data, but I can find that out and see. But yeah, yes.
I have a kind of a question, observation, and then a comment. Has there ever still any more monitoring of the traffic flow around the roundabout? And the reason I ask that is my observation, and my wife goes through that area every day, and it seems like the folks that on 91 must think they have the right of way. They don't even slow down and come flying through the roundabout. Oftentimes, my wife said quite often she's got to watch for everybody else because those people don't seem to slow down at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still on our list of special attentions that we're, trying to keep an eye. We are keeping an eye on what is going on up there. It's simple, yield, right? I mean, we all would say we know what yield means.
I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So, that's why we keep trying to educate folks that it's yield, look left and go. And I know I've been through the roundabout. I go through there maybe twice a day, coming into work and going home, just because I'm trying to get an idea of what it looks like at different times of day. And, I've had a couple of near misses in there as well. So, you still have to maintain that driver awareness when you're driving in there. And, we'll keep doing what we're doing, but I just, trying to get that meaning of yield out to people.
Okay, and my comment just quickly is, I guess I appreciate the extra police presence a couple weeks back, I think right around spring break time, when there was a whole issue with the Facebook incident, and I wasn't aware of a possible connection with Twinsburg until I saw Superintendent Powers' note, and I appreciate you being at Dodge. I have a student at Dodge, and appreciate you being out there that day. So
sure, that's what it's what we do. I live here in town as well. I've got kids in the schools, and even if I didn't, that's what we do. We need to do that. But thank you very much for that. So.
I just have one more thing. The flowers we got, little trees that sit in the middle, are they gonna keep them trimmed down where you can see across a little bit?
Across, you mean the one in Glenwood?
No, yeah, the Glenwood Circle.
Yeah.
Where you can see.
The original design had actually big pine trees and everything, and I had it redesigned so that it's basically, the goal is to keep it at about 4 foot height, so that, so there is better visibility
Okay.
across. There's some debate as to whether it's better if you can't see across, or, that forces you just to look left, or you see across. But I've been in municipalities. Dublin has 25 roundabouts, and some of them have stuff growing in the middle. Some of them are just flat concrete, there's different philosophies on it. But for this particular one, there was some concern about people wanting to see over it, so I redesigned it and kept all the shrubbery down.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
When the traffic signal thing was in front of Dunkin' Donuts, I leave for work at 6 in the morning. As I approach it, every morning, I was either doing 6 or 7, or 12 or 13. Then it would go off, I'm the only car on the road, I would get up, my speedometer would say 25, it would start blinking at me like I'm committing a crime, 28. I don't think it's calibrated right.
I programmed you personally in there, Dusty. Just to mess with you in the morning.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm working with the manufacturer in regards to, because of that area, 4 to 5 lanes, how far back it reads, sensitivity of the camera, the angle of it, things like that. It's really more intended for a 2-lane residential, and we just wanted to get it out there to make people aware of the speed limit. So it was out there for a while. Sometimes it seemed like it was functioning spot on, other times it had some issues, and that's something we're still working with the manufacturer on.
All right, and then why was that lowered from 35 to 25?
That business district has just grown in there, and business districts are 25-mile-an-hour speed zones. So, we've continued to add more businesses in there, so we felt that lowering the speed limit by 10 miles till you get out to the bridge was the best interest of safety.
Yeah, the idea is try to give you a little more of a buffer to slow you down really before you get into that square, and as you're leaving the square, to maintain that speed, just because things get so congested there with the businesses in and out, it's really tight.
Do you know how many accidents you've had at the roundabout since it's finally fully going?
We've had I believe the number is 7 since January. I think that's the number. It's somewhere around 7 since January. So, it's just something it's new for people to use. But I truly believe that it does what it's supposed to do. That it moves traffic very, very efficiently. I've noticed especially the backup on 91 into Solon in the evenings is just non-existent anymore. I mean, the traffic is just moving through very, very smoothly. So I think that number is going to continue. Listen, we're always going to have traffic crashes. I mean, and in this case, it's always driver error. Somebody's not paying attention to a traffic control device, the yield sign. But I believe as more roundabouts go in, not only in Twinsburg, but throughout the area, I think people are going to become more used to navigating them, and you're going to see that number go down. Yes, ma'am.
Did you happen to hear about the people going the wrong way in the roundabout?
We hear all kinds of fun stories.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I
yeah.
guess they couldn't get out. I mean, up on the brick. I mean, it's not funny.
It's a little funny. But
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately.
Coming the other way.
Right. I don't see how, but I mean.
Well, they made a left. They were going to Solon, I think.
Yeah, so. But again, we're monitoring the area. I see a lot more people driving through correctly than not. But again, like I said before, situational awareness, drive defensively, because not everybody's as good a driver as you.
It's amazing how, we used to sit at lights for long periods of time, but it's amazing how impatient people are down at the roundabouts there. They used to wait 4 minutes at a light. Now they can't sit there for 3 seconds, So it's just a matter of sitting, waiting, making sure it's clear. And the thing that people don't understand a lot of times is when you're pulling up and if you see a car coming into the roundabout to your left, I mean, wait, because they literally have the right of way. If they enter in before you do, you're going to be the one that's cited. So that's the thing that I think a lot of people, some of the minor fender burners we've had is just people, I got in an argument with my mother-in-law about the whole situation. She's like, I pulled up and I saw the person coming. I'm like, well, if you saw him coming, stop. Wait the 3 seconds, let them get through, and then proceed. So it's still a learning curve. I mean, Twinsburg's not special. We didn't just say, you know what, in this bubble, we're going to create this new found roundabout thing. I mean, Macedonia's looking at 2 of them. I mean, they're going to be coming all over the place. So it's just something we're all going to have to get used to driving. You know, we always talk about Carmel, Indiana. I pulled up their website the other day. They had a big celebration celebrating their 100th roundabout in that city. They have roundabouts going into another roundabout. So it's just, you know, it's a design that, you know, it really does what it's supposed to do. It calms traffic, it slows down, but it keeps traffic moving, and it decreases significantly the bodily injury accidents. You're still gonna have accidents. We have accidents all over the city. Everyone is kind of focused on the ones that occur in the roundabout right now.
I have one question.
Sure.
4 or 5 years ago, you were at the meeting at Dodge with the fellow agent.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy was so happy, proudly, that he was putting a businessman out of work, an electric vehicle. When we at that time at Chrysler were losing people, we wanted people to work. So that guy, my reference was putting maybe a city employee out, or somebody lives in the city, out of job, and lowering our taxes.
I'm not sure what you.
The guy would say there was going to be no red lights up there, so that put an employee out. Let's say for electric company. Maybe he worked here in the city of Twinsburg, so there goes his job. So then he's going to go on welfare and everything else. To me, I completely think not all roundabouts way, but I think the government is trying to put the electrician people out of work as far as traffic concerns on red lights and throughout the whole country. That's my opinion.
Yeah, not sure.
I'd like to leave you with one thing, and that's something that we believe in and we're strong about, and that's the whole concept of see something, say something. You know, again, I come back to, you know your neighborhoods better than we do. You know when things are out of place. We've had several instances over the last couple of years where somebody has called something into us rather than going, it looks funny, but you know, I'll just leave it alone. And it's led to some arrests of some serious criminals. So it is never an inconvenience for you to pick up that phone and call us at the police department if it seems out of place to you. I would rather that we respond and find nothing than not respond because you didn't call and then something else comes of it. And just see something, say something. It's worked in the past, it will continue to work. And that's part of the partnership that we have with our community. You know, you let us know and we'll tend to it. So, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. One other announcement, so last year, for the first year, we did National Night Out. So if those who know National Night Out, it's a national kind of celebration of community police. And so it happens in communities all over the place. We've, for some reason, not really ever celebrated it. Last year we did it at the stadium. It was a really fun night. It was a really hot night, but it was a really fun night. It's always the second or the first Tuesday in August. And so we're going to do that again this year. Last year we had about 600 people. We expect it to grow. So just please mark your calendars and come out, and we'll have our force. We're probably going to have some people from Reminderville. We'll have some of the sheriffs. We'll have some of the metro parks. We had some people from the Army Reserves. We had SWAT. We had the criminal BCI we had there. So it should be a great night, but just mark your calendars for that. All right. Anything else for, yes?
Well, not for them, but when are they gonna start from the roundabout to Solon, the 91, the next phase of the 91?
We've already gone, I mean, we've engineered it. It's been designed. We've already purchased all the right-of-way. So when you have a project like that, the right-of-way purchase is very specific. So there's 12 properties that we had to purchase right-of-way. So it's very specific to that particular project. So we're already down that path. There's been some environmental work done. The actual project and construction would not be until 19. So,
19?
Yeah. So we've got.
One at Meadowwood and?
Right.
Really? Whoa.
Yep. So, I mean,
I thought it was gonna happen.
well, funding is space. So when we start looking at different projects, we're looking at an interchange project down by 480, and the actual funding for that wouldn't be till 2023, I think. But we have to start, like this whole project started back, 2008, 2009, 2010. I mean, it all started years ago in terms of the funding and the planning. It takes a lot of time when there are projects this big. Yes?
Will 91 be widened at all between the current roundabout and the Solon border?
Yeah, there'll be 4 lanes connecting into Solon. So you'd have 4 lanes connecting into Solon. The turn lane onto Lisa would be eliminated, so you'd have 4 direct lanes going into there. Yes?
Mayor, I just have a question. I'm a former finance director many years, worked in Macedonia for a lot of years. One of the key questions I have for you tonight is I see that this year in 2017 that the general fund is budgeted for $32 million. We're bringing in $22 million. So that's $10 million more than we're bringing in revenue in 1 year. Projected to end the year at $4 million. Go back to 2010, 7 years ago. General fund had $10 million. So we're down to half of that. How long are you going to be able to continue this deficit spending?
Well, our current general fund and our current year-end balances, I think we finished last year around 13 million. So I mean, we've set a goal with the city to get our budget into a situation where we can maintain approximately a $10 million reserve. And we're working toward that. I mean, we've made significant changes in our union contracts, which, as a city, when you look at what we spend, about 60% or more of our budget is personnel, our bodies here. And so you can do 2 things. You can slow down your spending and your compensation, or you can start laying people off. Last thing I wanted to do was start laying people off. So we've worked hard this whole year. We've negotiated all but one of our union contracts where someone would start at the city and be about a 35%, 40% increase in a 5-year period. We've eliminated those steps that created that situation. We've had all the employees kind of buy into that. They understand the situation we're in. They understand we're deficit spending. I don't believe we're projected to be down to 4 million. And even when we budget, we never spend what we budget. Usually we're about 80-85% of what we budget in terms of our actual spending. So throughout the year, there's certain projects. Even last year, there was a couple large projects that we just stopped, or we eliminated, or we found alternatives instead of doing it. Our biggest challenge is really our capital. We can only do so much with our personnel costs. I mean, we have a certain level of service and staffing here at the city that makes things run the way that everybody is experiencing, and we want to maintain that. What we really got to get under control is our capital projects, and that's one thing that the council and myself and department heads will be working on. So I understand the situation. I mean, trust me,
You'll understand it more when you run out of those monies like Macedonia has, believe me.
Trust me, I spend a lot of time looking at our finances for it.
Okay. Well, you're getting down there. You're getting down to a point where it's going to be very material. I recommended to this city 4 years ago that they look at doing some 5-year forecasting. When you start running out of money, you better start looking at it now.
You also recommended we spend some of our reserves.
On capital. On capital, it's wise to spend it on capital, but when you spend those dollars, you can only spend them once. So just be advised.
All right, so let's go into the building department. We have Russ Rodick here. It's exciting world of building.
Yes, it is. Good evening, everybody. Once again, my name is Russell Rodick. I am the Chief Building Official for the City of Twinsburg. I have a department of 2 full staffs, 1 field office, and 1 part-time. Just a little bit of history by myself. This June, I'm actually approaching 30 years with the City of Twinsburg. And I started in 1987 as an engineer inspector for the City of Twinsburg. So I've seen how the city has grown to where it is today. So I do have a lot of history here to go with a lot of things I've seen here. So my point today is actually we don't do anything really glorified. We get involved to help people who want to do additions to their house, to do decks to their house. We get involved with plan review. We've been involved with inspections of the Cornerstone Business Parkway, all those buildings up there. We've been involved in the Cleveland Clinic site. And of course, we're involved with all the new residential communities we have in here, Covers Farm, Fox Hollow. So my point is actually, what I try to stress to people is that we want to be able to be a source for you. Meaning, you're about to do an investment in your house. You're gonna spend some money on that. So allow us to help you make sure it's gonna be a good investment by what we'd like to have you do is actually have a contractor come to our office with an application, some drawings. We'll look at them, review them. We have a couple code books that we have to refer to that gives us to establish maximum risk methods in it. I don't many people understand that, but it kind of gives a ground of how to build with a couple of different ways of doing it. So we hope that people rely on us as well as a contractor to do the building of it, but at least to do us as a plan review of it. So you're going to invest some money. So we like to use us as a resource. So that's part of our duties. And if anybody's got any kind of questions in regards to our process of that, yes.
I have a question. I had a sunroom built 13 years ago. What they submitted showed that cement was going to be poured. You went through them, approved it. Don't you have inspectors that come out making sure they do those things?
We do have a process of inspections.
I never had any cement put in. I found out last year when mud was coming up from the bottom through my carpeting. They took it all out. No cement was ever poured in there. The company is out of business to build it. So
Okay.
my question is, why wasn't someone out there going along the steps since I did my part in making sure they went to the city?
I would actually help you out in regards to now, was there an application submitted to my office? That's 13 years ago. I don't have the information to look back at it now. We look at that. If there wasn't an application submitted, then basically the contractor pretty much.
I went with them to a meeting.
Okay, that's my first question. So I don't know what transpired 13 years ago. We do have records here. We can look into that, but the company's out of business. But sometimes contractors don't rely on calling us to come out and do inspections. We can't always monitor every activity out there either. We rely on their cooperation as a requirement, as being registered in the city, is to come and call us for inspections when the time's right.
Also, I bought a new house in Twinsburg. And 3 years ago, there was a contractor that came around, and he was there because some of the stucco, like on the chimney in the front of the house, was so wet behind it, it was ready to fall down. It cost me $4,000 to have my chimney redone. So I called and talked to the inspectors. They came out and told me what you just said. We can't inspect everything. And I'll tell you, there were about 10 houses on Frederick Lane that were that way. So I'm just saying, like you could have these meetings and you make sure that we can submit these things, but it doesn't mean that they're still doing it right.
You can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when a project happens in terms of building a house, there's certain levels that the contractors know that they have to call and have things re-inspected before they finish. I don't know that putting stucco on the outside of a chimney is something that
That's something we don't do.
would get inspected. That's like painting a house or putting siding up. They're not gonna go there and watch a contractor hang siding to make sure they're hanging siding correctly or putting the proper material behind that siding. I mean, they're gonna check to make sure that all the plumbing is airtight. They're gonna make sure that the electrical's done properly and safe. They're gonna make sure a lot of the fundamental things, the foundation, they're gonna check the foundation before they start building. But a lot of that also depends on, like for your sunroom, I think, the interaction between the contractor back to the city. They may have done the process up front, but if they started building and they didn't call to say, look, we got our foundation ready to come inspect, I don't know, what could have happened.
Well, the important element to me is the plan should come in detailed for me to look at. Once I stamp it, then he is responsible to build it to the plan. Like the mayor said, we can't always be out there for every inspection. We rely on the communication from the contractor to let us know what stage he's at. And he's required at certain stages to allow us to look at the construction. So we do the best we can, and we hope that we can be helpful in regards to helping the contractors not to make this an issue like it is now. Yes?
Do you keep your records that far back, Ross?
We have a database, yes we do. Yes we do.
You should go and look.
It's public records. If you just want to stop by my office, ask for the address, you can take a look at it, you're more than welcome. Yes?
Russ, your department is, excuse me, committed to keeping the city beautiful. And along with that, working with the Architecture Review Board on sign ordinances and approvals. There is a sign on the northeast corner of the square that is no longer used. The company that put the sign up has moved. The sign really, a couple of people who have visited us in town have commented about how poor that sign looks. It's a bright yellow sign that has been painted over, the letters have been painted over. The sign, in my opinion, was ugly when it was put up. That company has moved on. It's even uglier now that the letters were taken off and painted over. So what can be done about that?
It's technically not a sign anymore, man. It's just part of the face of the building.
Is it a business, a business that?
Right, hello?
It should be-
Yeah,
it's
old
that
sign
button.
still up? Yes, the old sign is still up.
So it's still a sign from a defunct business?
What's the saying on the sign?
Sure staff.
But that doesn't say it anymore. I mean,
It's
it probably
been
has
painted over.
some,
You
I
can see
can
it.
read it.
You can read it through the paint.
read it through the paint. Ask them to repaint it. I'm not sure, it's kind of saying you're looking at a
There's a
building.
new business in there.
Sorry?
There is a new business that is occupying the premises. They only have signage in their windows. Is there a way to have them put new signage up? Hopefully not using the yellow signage that's there.
Well, I think if you're a new business, you want to promote, right? And putting a new sign would cost money.
You know, there's a requirement, I don't know if there's a requirement to force a business to put up a sign. Basically, if they're gonna put up a sign, they have to do it basically by the code. They need to buy the sign plan for that particular building or strip, but I can go by and look at it and see what you're talking about. I know the building you're talking about, I just haven't, I guess, focused on what that looks like.
We'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, I don't think this refers to you, sir, but Mayor, you know, you're talking about extending out of the fire department here, I think 1,600 feet to exist. I thought I seen that in the council papers or something. And I would like to see if we could put a new fire station up like on Old Mill Road and 14 there, like next to CVS, in case there's a big tragedy. Then a lot of times you can't get up that way like 5 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, there's been discussions about an additional station. You know, we provide fire service for the township, so we've had conversations with the township. I think there's some dialogue that we could have with Hudson. That's a kind of a no man's land for Hudson. So I think there's a way that, from a regionalization standpoint, we could probably look with the township and Hudson to do a station there. You know, when you just start putting stations, I think we're forced today to really try to look to other municipalities to join forces. I mean, think about our Station 2. While it's great to have Station 2 there, within a mile or a half mile, we have Reminderville Fire Station and we have Solon Fire Station. There probably could have been a bigger collaborative effort that could have gone into putting that station there. You know, a lot of resources go into manning these, and you know, when we're talking about having ladder trucks and pump trucks, those are $1 million vehicles. Do we need, at all three of those stations, a ladder truck? You know,
Ambulances.
yeah, you know, so there's been discussions about some of the having a station at that end of Twinsburg, but I think if we did look at something, it would probably be in conjunction with, at a minimum, the township and potentially with Hudson also.
That's what I was kind of thinking, Twinsburg Township.
Anything else for Russ?
say if you bring somebody up to talk about building, you forget about the roundabout.
Very nice.
All right, so we're doing okay on time. Anything from councilman? Want to share?
I would like to thank Lieutenant Mason for taking the reins on the speed signs. I know up in Ethan's Green Man's problem was speeding in that area. I think it's helped, and I appreciate you looking into that.
Oh, absolutely. I think it only helps you is you get complaints, as the chief said. We're out walking dogs, we have kids out, and a vehicle coming by, we get calls all the time, they're doing at least 50. And the perception is the vehicles are moving fast, sure.
Right.
And I think the signs help clarify how fast people actually are going. And speeding is speeding, but if you're a few miles over the speed limit, it helps sort the facts out, and I think it's a tool for you as well.
It's a general reminder to drivers.
Sure.
That flips you. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. It catches a lot of people by surprise, and we can set the different parameters on it to when it flashes, when the strobe flashes. There's a lot we can do with the signs, so you should see it a lot more this summer.
All right, any other questions about things going on around town? Yes.
Mayor, can you update us on what's going on around the square? What our plans are to improve the walkability and that type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we talk about all the time. I mean, the CIC that we formed, I've met with a developer. I'm probably going to be meeting with the same developer here in the next week or so that has some interest in that. Really, the southeast quadrant is really what we've been focused on. For us, you really have to look at the square as a whole, and I've learned so much trying to work toward this redevelopment. And when I spend time talking to, if you know Peter Rubin of Coral Company, there's a lot of really well-known developers in this area that have done some larger scale projects, but we need bodies. We need people living in our downtown area to give it a little bit of life. And you look at communities that we strive to have a downtown area, like if you look at Hudson, you look at Chagrin Falls, you look at certain areas, they have residential areas that are directly connected to their downtown area. I mean, from every direction, people can walk and get to the center of town and walk around and do things. Parking is a premium. People don't care where they park, it's different areas. So, we need to have kind of that philosophy, and if we're going to have, Twinsburg is not fortunate to have a lot of residential areas connected directly to our downtown. So one of the things we need to look at is creating some housing that'll get people living in our downtown, that'll, put the bodies there that will, go to those businesses and create kind of a destination for our current residents. I mean, all of our residents go a lot of times outside of our city to shop or to go to restaurants or to do a lot of different things. So, we're working hard toward that. Hopefully, we've assembled some of the property. I think we have the owners who are open to being part of the project and selling, or either being part of it in some way. It's just a matter of getting the right developer in place that puts together a project that makes sense. So, but we're constantly looking at that. It hasn't been forgotten. Along with that, the focus of our downtown area. We also spend a lot of time looking at from an economic development standpoint. Well, a lot of people don't realize we're blessed and we're cursed in the same way. Our industrial area is about 95% occupied. So we're very lucky that other municipalities would be like, oh, that's great, you're lucky. However, when businesses come to us, I think we've got about 3 parcels we could market to them if they wanted to come build a facility here. Some of the businesses that want to expand, if they can't do it within their current footprint, there's not much we can really offer them around the city. You look at businesses, Cardinal Health wanted to expand. You look at Darko wants to expand right now. They're currently in contract in a building in Bedford. I'm working very hard trying to keep them here, figuring out whatever we can do. We've got certain businesses that have the ability to do it, but that's one of our challenges is not only bringing in that new business, but we have businesses that are doing very well in Twinsburg and just finding a way to help them grow. And it's been a challenge. It's one thing that, when I got into office, Larry and I started meeting with businesses all over town. And recently we've been meeting with businesses because they're saying things are booming, but we need another 150,000 square feet. What do we do? It's great, but if they can't go on their current site, it's a challenge to try to find them a place to go. We have a business that there's no way for them to expand, so we're trying to find a lot for them to build a new building. And fortunately, they gave us enough lead time where I think we can do that. But Cornerstone is another one. There's already people looking at the remaining land that's in Cornerstone. So Cornerstone, probably the next 3 years, might be completely built out. So, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. However, while we build and create, there's going to be, $75 million worth of new building and investment. The jobs there and the income tax revenue is not near what it used to be with Chrysler and some of the manufacturing companies we had here in town. Manufacturing is a different world today. Even if you do bring in manufacturing, you're not bringing in manufacturing of the old days. There's a lot of it's automated. You don't have the jobs, you don't have the payroll. And so it's good for the schools. I mean, look at FedEx. FedEx is a $20 million facility with about a $5 million payroll. So the city has $100,000 worth of income tax revenue. The schools have close to $400,000 worth of property tax revenue that we've created. So things have kind of shifted from 20 years ago. So there are certain things that we're trying to do to anything we can to create jobs here. I'd love to get some more Class A office space. Typically with Class A office space, you get higher paying jobs, you fill them with bodies, and you get a lot of high paying jobs that create income tax. I was approached by someone that just got control of the site that's up just south of Cleveland Clinic. And he was talking about doing a couple of projects. I said, well, would you consider an office building? I'll help you, Larry and I'll help you try to find, a tenant and, fill that thing up if you look at, a multi-story office building. We need some of that stuff. The front of Cornerstone has a vacant lot. Currently there's a concrete pile we'd like to get rid of, but in that particular area would be great to showcase kind of some Class A office space. So those are certain things that we're kind of look at, that we're always working on from an economic development standpoint. Yes.
Just one question, Mayor. Does Cleveland Clinic still have a lot of property back behind its building? Didn't they have about 200 acres or something?
Yeah, they do have land back there. I know they talked about adding on back there. So it's, but they do have space to expand. Kent State's another one. Kent State's already talking about expanding. They have additional space. They're already at, basically once they finished building that regional campus, they were at capacity almost. So that's a good thing. Yeah. So,
all right,
some fun things going around town. We've got, the summer's always a fun time. Spring, we've got all our concerts coming up. So if you haven't been to any of our Rock the Park concerts, they're a lot of fun. I think we've got, I believe, 7 concerts this year. So we have, I think, a Journey cover, Eagles cover band. We're actually hosting the Reggae Festival, Cleveland Reggae Festival this year. That's coming up May 26th. We've got Post Road, which is a local band. We have a country band coming this year. Let's see. We've got Disco Inferno, which is always a blast. We've got a Grammy-nominated Christian rock band, Building 429, which is got about 60 tour dates around the country. We've got them coming June 30th. So a lot of things going on around town.
When is Founders Day? Is it June the 22nd?
That's July 22nd. So that's Founders Day. Our bicentennial is currently going on this year. So we're trying to incorporate the bicentennial with every one of our events, and then we're going to have a big Founders Day gathering at the square come July 22nd. So I know Mike's been part of that planning group. We've got a lot of people really working hard to make that a fun event. Should be a full day of entertainment and ice cream and just classic cars and a lot of stuff going to be going on. So I encourage you to mark that down. Another thing we're doing this year is So if you've ever been to Hudson, has a, what they call the Hudson Flea Market. It's kind of an upscale market that they do in the center of town. The girl, I call her girl, she grew up in Twinsburg and much younger than me, organizes that. She lives in Hudson, but she grew up in Twinsburg, and she contacted me, and I said, yeah, we'd absolutely love to have that here. So she is going to be bringing, we're going to call it Market on the Square, and on the second Tuesday of June, July, and September, we're not sure what the date is in August because we're going to conflict with Relay for Life, but we're going to have a big market with food trucks and events going on the square. Yes?
Don't tell me you're gonna close Church Street for that.
We are going to close Church Street.
You're messing with my neighborhood. That creates.
You're completely across the square. You can walk over.
Yeah, I could, but if I'm driving home from work, that creates a massive backup towards McDonald's and all that.
Aren't you on a bike anyway?
Not coming home from work.
All right.
What the problem is, Ted, that the turning lane is too short to turn left onto 91 to go north. If you're gonna close it down, maybe put a police officer there. They used to have a police officer there that would turn that light as traffic was heavy. And if we're gonna close Church Street, it may be a good idea to put the officer there with the button that he could change the signal, especially at rush hour.
We can look at that. Yeah. This is going to be a Saturday. It's going to be on a Saturday, so it'll be, do you work on Saturdays?
Not anymore.
All right, good. So you don't have a problem. So it'll be that Saturday from 9 to 3, this event will go on. You know, and one of the things we talk about, redevelopment, you know, the two things that were told to me is, look, the lifeblood of your downtown area is getting more people there and creating more events on your square. So that's one of the things we're really trying to do. So we're going to, you know, try to do as many events as we can on our square in the next coming years. Yes.
Is the farmer's market moving back to the square?
So the farmer's market, what we've done is the farmer's market is going to be incorporated into this event. So she's going to be contacting those vendors, offering to bring them as part of this particular market, and then let them go with her to, she also does the one in Hudson. So it'll create, you know, a couple of opportunities for them. And if you've been to our farmer's market recently, it's been struggling, and you know, rather than 100 people showing up on a Thursday night, I'm hoping to get 1,000 people showing up on a Saturday. So hopefully the vendors will embrace this change, and it'll be good for them.
It'll only be once a month. Yeah.
It'll be once a month.
I thought you said the play was gonna be on a Tuesday.
It'll be on the second Saturday
Second Saturday.
of like June, July, and September. August, we're not sure what the date is, because the second Tuesday in August is going to be Relay for Life on the square. So, what's that?
You said Saturday.
I'm sorry, second Saturday. I'm sorry, second Saturday. So second Saturday in August is going to be Relay for Life. So we have a group of high school girls that are organizing Relay for Life. They did it last year. And this year they're doing a huge change and shift. They're going to move it to the square, and it's going to be kind of a carnival format. So again, another event I'd encourage you to mark in your calendars and come out and support. But for that reason, we're not going to host the market on that Saturday. We'll pick another Saturday.
Is that a Friday and Saturday thing?
It's just a Saturday, one day.
I'm sorry, the farmer's market, is that still back at Gander Mountain parking lot, or?
No, that was the question she asked.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that is going away. So
The farmer's market is?
The farmer's market is going away. We're incorporating those vendors into this new market, and the person that's organizing it has offered to allow them to come to her additional in Hudson. So they'll at least get two days a month.
Okay.
Now, there has been someone that has expressed an interest in having a smaller farmer's market that they organize and do it at a different location within the city, and we just said, that's fine. You want to do that, then just come let us know, and they can do the permit and host it wherever they want to host it. Yes.
Haven't been involved with the original farmer's market that was here. When it was moved off the square, that was a problem for vendors. And I think that
The square was a problem, or moving it was a problem?
moving it was a problem. They loved having it on the square. There was shade, they were picking up customers that would drive by because it was very visible. So that fits with your philosophy of bringing people downtown. And I think that it would be very difficult to get vendors to stay at Gander Mountain. I think if there were an opportunity for them to move back to the square, I think the whole market would revive.
From my understanding, I forget about the farmer's market because it's so detached from
So
the
does
downtown
everybody
area.
else.
And when I went, I think we had one, maybe two produce vendors. So we had two that were actually selling produce, which those are the really vendors that might have an issue. The rest of them were soaps and oils and, you know,
But
non-perishables
originally there were-
that would be perfect into this new market. You know, I had one lady that sells baked goods that came to Parks and Rec and was a little upset, and I said, well, what kind of, you know, traffic do you get back there? And she goes, oh, I have almost 10 regular customers. And I'm like, okay, 10 customers. I said, I'm trying to get you 1,000 customers. I can't bake that much, she said. I'm like, well, you sell out and you go home. So, but I think that's probably the case, is that you might have, you know, then there's certain people that like that setup back there because some of the vendors were older and they like being right by their car, and, you know, some seniors could get back there really easy. I mean, we're gonna do our best to accommodate everyone. We've got some volunteer groups that are gonna help the vendors get their stuff out there. We have volunteers that wanna help seniors park close and get them over to the market. So we've thought a little bit about it, and there's gonna be things that we need to probably change, but we're gonna try to make it as easy for everyone, and it should be a fun event, but also be something that can be productive for the vendors also.
I got
Yeah, sure.
one, building on this gentleman's point here, you were saying when it was on the square, there was great turnout, the vendors loved it, the people seemed to enjoy it. I personally, rather than just give up and let something go, that to me seems like, and I know there's issues with closing Church Street, it seems as though closing Church Street is not such a huge issue traffic-wise. Do we want to close it permanently? No, but to close it for events like this, once a week, I mean, when you drive through Bedford in the summertime, they have something every weekend that brings the community out, and, you know, it builds community. Doing this on Church Street seems like, you know, that's where it started, that seems like a good idea to do, and if, you know, the trigger's already been pulled on canceling the event. I get that, and Mr. Bass, maybe he's gonna rip me a new one here in a minute, because I don't live up in that neighborhood, so I don't deal with what you, and I respect.
The difference between Bedford and Twinsburg.
Yes, sir.
They have it in the square and they don't close Broadway. When we have an event, we don't have it in the square, we have it on Church Street and it's closed. I wouldn't mind if it was in the square and you could drive around the
You
square.
could still, okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of parking spaces on Church Street, so that's where the customers could park. There's also a parking lot where Babka's used to be, that people could walk over instead of closing the street, which causes the backup. Also, when we close the square, we never put a sign on Ravenna Road telling you that Church Street is closed. So I head up that way and I get there, and now I can't make a left-hand turn. There should be a sign at Ravenna and 91 that says Church Street closed.
Now, you live off of Maple Drive or in that stretch, is that where?
No, I live on Ravenna Road across from the old post office.
Yeah, okay.
Mike, we live on Maple Drive, and it's not an issue.
Okay.
We can get signs.
Go around the square and go one block out of your way for a great event. I mean, it's not a big deal.
If you know ahead of time.
Yeah.
And there could be signs posted.
Yeah, but they're
500
never,
feet.
you know, a lot of times I pull out and I get up there, it's like, oh damn, then I gotta drive all the way up to whatever the first light is, make a left and come off by McDonald's.
Yes.
When Church Street is closed, what accommodations are made for parking for the merchants that are directly affected by that?
When we close Church Street, typically we try to close it so that there's still access to the merchants there. The one main merchant that we'll have conversations with is Greenbridge. So Greenbridge is the one merchant that could be impacted by this. However, if they embrace it, I think they could probably do quite well if they invited people in or had something outside in front of their facility. But typically we would attempt to close Church Streets where you could still get into like the Silent Mind and the laundromat and those, so all those would still be accessible. Yeah. But this is a, first year, so we're looking at, this is 10 times more events than we've had in the past in the summer, so we'll see how we do with this and managing it. And, it's great to talk about having an event, and everything, but there's organizing and there's planning and there's a lot of things that go into it. So we want to keep it where we can control it this year and see how it goes and hopefully add on to in the future years.
Mayor, are they still gonna have the Taste of Twinsburg?
Taste of Twinsburg is not going to happen this year. Unfortunately, with all this going on kind of on the square and really with the bicentennial, and I'm not sure, I know at one point they were looking at some of their main sponsors that may not have kind of stepped up, but I think they're going to take a year off and really work and plan for it for next year. Our big bicentennial celebration going on this year.
Hard to squeeze in.
Yeah. So Taste of Twinsburg, unfortunately, it's not going to happen this year. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else. Is there any other questions for anybody? That's for me or for council or? No. All right. Well, if you think of anything, you can always stop by or feel free to email me, and then we'll get answers for you. So, well, thank you for coming. Please take cookies on your way out, or they're just going to end up back by my office. All right. Thank